Hi guys, welcome back to Prospect Channel TV. Thank you for always coming out here. May God bless you all. Details of how the legal counsel to the embattled leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor, became the greatest threat to his client, Nnamdi Kanu, have emerged. In a special report by the founder of Due Process Advocates International and chief editor of Encore News, Emeka Ogunoya, which a copy was made available to Newsband, noted that Ejiofor has become bad, greedy, incompetent, and too compromised to handle the case of Nnamdi Kanu. The Harvard-trained attorney in the report explained that because of how fat Ejiofor has been feeding from the Biafra illusion under IPOB, he has continued to advise Nnamdi Kanu wrongly. The human rights lawyer further stated that in a civilized world, the government would have arrested Ejiofor for urging his client in the dangerous direction, which led to the establishment of the Killer Eastern Security Network (ESN). Ogunoye, while revealing that things have gotten too far in the wrong direction, said that even if IPOB would sack Ejiofor from the legal team now, it will not make much of a difference. Though he said the removal of Ejiofor will be an impossible task for IPOB because he has been more than a lawyer to the separatist movement. Emeka Ogunoye, however, described Ejiofor as an insider, an operative of IPOB/ESN, and if removed from the movement, he will blackmail Nnamdi Kanu by revealing operational secrets of the group. Part of the report reads, "When I say that Ejiofor is the greatest threat to Nnamdi Kanu today, I do without any iota of sentiment or emotions. Anybody in Nnamdi Kanu's position who uses a lawyer like Ejiofor is destined to make huge mistakes and suffer greatly. The reason for this problem is not that Ejiofor is a bad man. He's simply too greedy, too incompetent, and too compromised to do the job." Since 2017, you can see how Nnamdi Kanu's case and his Biafran illusions have gone too badly to a point where he is in detention and will not be released until he renounces his dreams of a territorial Biafran. It is the duty of a lawyer to advise his client on the right path to follow when faced with legal jeopardy. And it is the duty of the client to follow lawyer's advice. We describe that as control of client. Once your client cannot follow your advice, you must resign. You cannot represent a client who does not want he likes, contrary to counsel's advice. The opposite to the lawyer's ability to control his client is when the client controls the lawyer. A lawyer worth his salt must not find himself in a position where the client controls how he does his work. In the case of Nnamdi Kanu, Ejiofor lacked the ability or interest to control Nnamdi Kanu. Instead, he benefited personally from the problem. Indeed, Ejiofor is the only one in the leadership of IPOB who truly benefited. He's the only one not in hiding. He's the only one collecting money, apparently, legitimately. He's the only one getting rich out of the Biafran project without getting arrested for it. Others are overseas. or in hiding. Others are in the bushes, answering ESN fighters and getting killed. Ejiofor is only one of them who gets money without any risk whatsoever. In 2017, Justice Ifeanyi granted Nnamdi Kanu bail on certain conditions. Those conditions were very harsh. I advised Nnamdi Kanu to appeal against those conditions, but to keep to them until the appeal goes through. Ejiofor advised him that it was okay to violate those conditions. Nnamdi Kanu violated those conditions, leading to the military attack and his flight into exile. It is obvious what will happen. It is obvious even at the moment Ejiofor continued to advise Nnamdi Kanu wrongly. In a civilized world, Ejiofor would have been arrested. It is clear that he is urging his clients in the dangerous direction that led to the establishment of ESN and the death of thousands. Failure to understand the role of a lawyer in a case like Nnamdi Kanu's is the problem. You think that a lawyer is such a passive actor who plays no role in the actions of his client. No, a lawyer immediately gains control over his client and makes sure he follows advice. And once your client cannot follow advice, you must resign to avoid being blamed for his actions. I once represented a former head of state of Nigeria. The first conversation we had when he asked me to be his lawyer was on the issue of client control. I said to him, General, I can't quit represent you. I can quit represent you. He asked me why not. I said to him, I have never represented an African head of state. In his personal capacity, I doubt that such a head of state will follow my advice. He laughed and said, Emeka, I will follow your advice. And he followed my advice to the end when I visited Nnamdi Kanu in Kuje prison on his invitation. The first thing we discussed was the issue of client control. I told him the risk he faced if he acted in certain ways. In the end, I realized that he would not follow my advice, hence it was impossible for me to do anything for him once he was out on bail. Today, Nnamdi Kanu is begging the government to find a political solution to his case. I laughed when I read that last week. I recall that last year, when I suggested a political solution, all the backheads in Igbo land descended on me with abuses, convincing themselves that Nnamdi Kanu would be released unconditionally. What a bunch of dreamers. They don't understand how the world works. Nnamdi Kanu's position is extremely bad, maybe worse than other leaders of militant groups. The emergence of Peter Obi, whether he wins or not, has also proven me right in another way. I told the IPOB people that it was not true that you needed a separate state of Biafra in order for the Igbos to realize justice. I told them that the Igbos would be okay if we could have a Nigeria that is well governed. Obi's candidacy supported by non-Igbos. Today, Obi is more popular in Yoruba land than the Tinubu and more popular in the north than Atiku. That proves IPOB wrong, and that proves me right. And finally, if I may say this, the worst insult anyone has ever given to me is to suggest I am envious of Ejiofor. It is a deep insult because it is impossible for a person with my pre-degree, academically and experimentally, to be envious of a rebel, Rosa, in a third world country who clearly lacks the ability to control a situation like the rise and collapse of IPOB, he said. So guys, I'm dropping it here. Kindly share it with you.